But before I get to that, I actually have to trim the quilt. I just got done making a tag, my third attempt, because for some strange reason, the first color I chose was it wasn't seeable. And then, I mean, it's white on purple. You could see it, but the stitch out, the letters were wrong. So I tried it again to double the letters, like double up and stitch twice. Again, I had nothing but problems. So I decided to change my thread color, change the type of stitches. I really wanted cursive writing, but I changed the stitches and everything, and now it should be good. I mean, not now. It is good now. So what am I doing? Trying to get this going. So that's what I'm going to be doing today, is binding the 25 patch block quilt. I'm trying to get all this stuff working though, because I can't see any chat or anything at this very moment. I'm waiting for it to load. Do you have chat too? You guys hear that? Hello, everybody joining. I wasn't going to remember what you just said. So hello, everybody. All right. Okay, I don't know why, but this is not going. Okay. First things first, I need to trim this beast. It is enormous and it's heavy. But I cut off some of it because I needed it for my tags. So I cut off some pieces. Started with one, then I ended up having to do two, and then I ended up with a third. So not really wasting fabric, but technically,
Are you going to start a new 25 patch block quilt soon?
Nope. I'm going on to the next quilt. I'm going on to doing a different quilt after this. I have no idea what's going on here. All right, so I'm going to start by trimming the quilt. I just need a ruler and a rotary cutter, and I'm just going to, you'll see me how I trim all the way around and keep everything nice and square and straight. Yeah, but this isn't on. All right, so I'm going to come down here to the bottom, and I'm just going to use the edge of the quilt as my guide. I'm also lining up with my ruler, so if it cuts off a little bit of the quilt, it's okay, because I know that it's starting with a nice, fresh, straight cut. So I just adjust and trim all the way around. Again, this thing is 102 by 112 or something like that. It's pretty darn large. Is it not on? Because it's not working here either.
You just keep glitching and stopping.
I don't know what's happening today.
Our internet doesn't like us like every day.
Yeah, the internet must be off. Is it working though?
Yes. Just turn your computer off. Messing more with that.
I don't know what's happening. As long as the cloud bot's working. Which it should be. So I'm chopping off the biggest side of extra backing fabric first, if you guys haven't noticed. That way, I've got a nice straight line right here. That way, all I have to do is pull this off the side. And then throw it on the floor like I do with everything else. All right, so that goes over there, and this for now is just going to go over there. All right, I'm going to turn it now and get the next side. Yeah, I finished quilting this the day I filmed live of quilting it. I finished it that same day. So now I have a nice straight line here which is going to allow me to have a nice straight line here. I just fold it out of the way and just use my ruler. Oops. Keeping everything as straight as possible. I only have so much cutting mat available on my table too, so I get like 2 passes every time I adjust. And then I just separate the batting.
Judith says that's a show quilt that should win prizes.
Yeah, it's definitely 100% different than any other quilt. So it could be a show quilt if I wanted it to. Batting goes over in my batting pile. Backing goes over there. Turn it again and do the next side. Definitely have to stand when trimming quilts that are this big. And I'm going to be using the backing fabric to make the binding. So from that big, huge chunk, I'm going to be cutting some 2.5-inch strips to bind this with. I'm just going to toss that by itself over there. Making sure I'm lining up my straight. So that way it's always straight going all the way around.
Before everybody asks, what cutter are you using?
I am using a Martelli rotary cutter.
Well, that's one of the most frequently asked questions. No one's asked it yet, but
Scotty's trying to get ahead of the questions.
you never know.
And it's straight right there at the top. So now I have a fully straight quilt. So now this can just get put right here on the chair, slid out of the way. I'm going to go ahead and grab this big, huge chunk right here because I'm going to make binding using this.
What's the secret of getting cornerstones to make?
Build the cornerstones onto the blocks. All right, so I'm going to straighten both of these right here, lining them up. I'm just going to fold it again. And I'm going to straighten it up with the fold so that I have no bowing. So I have a nice fold, nice straight, and I'm going to do it one more time. Yes, iron, I will be using you in like less than a minute. All right. So now I have to look where all these end. I'm just going to trim it off nice and straight, turn the whole thing around. This should be one long continuous piece so that way I know, and it is. I'm going to turn the whole thing around and cut some 2.5-inch strips. Actually, I'm going to cut 5 of them because if I wouldn't have cut off some for the bind or for the tag, I would have only needed 4 strips. But because I'm using the backing fabric and I cut some off for the tag, I actually need 5 strips now. And I'm cutting 2.5-inch strips. If my ruler would stay. 1.
I can hold the ruler for you if you need.
No, it's fine. 2. 3. 4. And number 5. Should go all the way around because I only took off like 11 inches for my tags. All right, so for now, this can just get folded and thrown on the floor with everything else. I'm gonna move this completely out of the way now. The bot is working and on.
Yes, it is.
All right, the next step is to sew these end to end with a diagonal seam. So I'm just gonna move the quilt again. Help is all the commands, friends. It shows the names of other channels. All right, so I'm going to grab one end and I'm going to grab another end. And I'm going to lay them right sides together, creating an L. And the selvage is still on one end. The other end obviously was cut off because it was 108. I'm going to change my stitch length down to 2mm and stitch corner to corner. Find the other end. Same procedure. Create an L. I have some hangover, which I'll just trim right off. And if I'm rushing today, that's because I came on late because of the whole tag fiasco. And I need to get this done before lunch and nap time. And I'm pretty quick with binding, so I'm not trying to purposely rush, but I am.
Take your time. You don't have to rush. Take your time.
Plus, I'm hurting today. Yesterday was a very long day for me. So today, not as, what's the word? I'm not as nimble today as I was yesterday. All right, so there's all of my lovely seams connected. Now I'm just going to trim away the excess on all of these. And then we're going to press it. And I'm not even going to use my binding, the binding ease, the quilted heart binding ease. I'm not going to use that. I'm just going to go ahead and do it the faster way for me right now, which is the way I've been doing it for many years, but I just want to get this done. So right now I'm just trimming away my excess. I only have 4 to trim because I only sewed together 5 pieces. And then I trim away the dog ears while I'm right here. And then we're going to go press it in half all the way down. All right. Garbage. Toss over there. Close that. Move that. Move that too. All right. So I'm going to take this over to the iron. And I'm going to move the camera so that you can see over here. I'm going to find a single end to start with. And I'll be pressing it in half the way we make binding. You guys can just stare at me making binding.
The camera closer to...
No, it's fine. Just leave it. So I'm just trying to get this done folding all the two edges together, the two raw edges, creating my binding, working my way down. Yes, I went with purple. I decided I wanted the purple to wrap around to the front with my binding. Since I love the color purple so much, it has to be on the back and the binding. Just pressed my seam down. I don't press it open always, so sometimes I just press it down and just move on. It's no big deal. It's spread out, so that's all that matters because it's on the 45. This is the last video of this series, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this whole series and learned a bunch of new blocks that you can just make a whole quilt out of, or you can take one single block from this series and make one quilt with the same block over and over again, which in the Facebook group, there has been a post of someone who's used some of the blocks. There's been a post by someone who has used just one block over and over again and made a very beautiful purple quilt. I love that one. And you can do whatever you want with these, or you can just you can make them smaller, you can make them bigger. They're 100% size adjustable because everything is made with half square triangles and the blocks that go with them. Even though in the series I did 2.5-inch blocks, but you can totally do 5-inch squares to start if you wanted, or 3-inch, or whatever size your heart desires. That was the whole point behind this series, was giving you the general idea of 90 blocks. And I did realize when I was laying this out on the floor to look the whole quilt that there are 2 blocks that are exactly the same, just different colorways. But, you know, with 90 blocks, I was bound to have 1 or 2 come out the exact same, just different colorways. But that's fine. And in the Facebook group, if you guys join the Facebook group, there is one of the members turned all of the diagrams from the videos into a little PDF that you can print up. And it was all free, so you could just go in there under the files section and get those so that you can make some of these blocks. They're so fun, so easy, so many different variations. You can use whatever colors you want. This was definitely a very fun quilt. Mine is super scrappy, but if you wanted to say only use pinks and oranges in every block, or yellow and green in every block, or whatever color your heart desires, the point is to have fun with it and enjoy the process.
Did you get sewing?
Yep. Creating things. Oops. Press the seam down first, Tiffy.
What size is each block?
Each block was 10.5 inches unfinished. So they're 10 inches finished. That's how big they come out. But like I said, you could make yours any size. You don't have to work with 2.5-inch squares. There's been one of the members in the group made her blocks with little 1-inch squares. She did minis with all of it, mini blocks. So you can do whatever size your heart desires. All right, coming up on the end, and then we could start attaching this to the quilt. See how much faster I did that without a binding ease? Kind of just goes faster for me that way, but if I want perfection strips, then I would use the binding thing. But today, we went without. All right, so let me turn the camera back over this way. There we go. I'm going to hold up my tag so that you can see. And I've been putting this little emblem right here on all of them because I love butterflies. So that's my new thing on my tags. It's pink on purple. So it says the 25 patch block sampler designed, pieced, and quilted by Tiffany Groff Quilting Designs, August 2019, because that's when I started this, to May of 2022. So there's my tag. There we go. And then I did do, because I make these for the corners, you could see that it is stitched across this top fold with the purple, which is what I'm binding it with. So now I need to, because my dog and cat are directional, I'm going to find the bottom of the quilt, which is, there's a dog and a cat right here. So that makes this right here a bottom corner, or the other side, it doesn't matter. So I'm just going to make sure that I grab this side right here, and I'm going to attach my tag first into my bottom corner. I'm also going to put my magnet on here with my 1/4-inch seam. I'm going to line this up with the corner. It's like perfect size. And since this thing is so darn heavy, we need to put a little bit of it on the table so that I can do this. Okay. That's good, that's good. All right, there's one side of it. I'm going to turn it just a little, keeping it nice and flat because I don't want my tag to have like a pucker or a bow in it so that it gets caught on things. Just keeping it all flat and sewing down the next side. All right, my tag is now on the bottom corner. Look at that, yay. So now I need to get the end of the binding. And I don't want any of these seams to land in a corner, but sometimes they do. It just happens and I'm used to it. But now, I need the whole entire back of this quilt. It's a very monstrous quilt, guys, I'm telling you. I'm going to put the most of it on my lap. I'm going to grab my end. We're going to start attaching this binding. I'm going to find my first seam real quick. I have a King Quilter Elite 2 Special Edition long arm. All right. I'm going to put that about right. I'm 100% manual. I do everything free motion. I do not use a computerized machine. I'm just straightening this. And I'm going to start with like a 10-inch tail for my connecting. And then I'm just going to go ahead and change my stitch length to about a 2.5 and attach this on. And I'm using purple thread. Now I'm just going to go all the way around and attach this binding on. I always attach to the back and then wrap it around to the front and tack it down. It's just the way I do it. This is the way I like it, and I do it all by machine. I think it gives the front of the quilt an added bonus like border look, you know, and it just, I think it looks clean. I think it makes it look nice and clean cut. You definitely have to keep adjusting. With big quilts like this, it's really nice to have a bigger table. And if you don't have a really big table, stick an ironing board. Take an ironing board to its lowest setting or, you know, equal with your table and line it up next to you. In some of my older videos, that's what I used to do because I had a smaller table. Yes, it is going to look amazing on my bed. But I'm not going to be using it until winter time because it's way too hot now to use this on my bed right now. The quilt that I currently have on the bed is my summertime quilt, and it's too hot for me now. I've been kicking it off and only using sheets, a sheet. And even then, it's going to get too hot for that. I'm a hot sleeper. Although my feet stay freezing cold, the rest of my body is usually hot. All right, so I made my corner. Now I'm going to go ahead and find this whole side and lay it on my lap. Even having this on my lap to bind it is hot. And it's got 80-20. It's 80% cotton and 20 polyester, so it should still be cool on the cooler side, but it's not when it's in Arizona. Yeah, summer quilts with no batting, yeah.
It's just kind of like a sheet then.
Yep. Top, it's like 2 sheets, honestly. Yeah. Still have a quilt, but just nothing inside of it.
Tell me about your quilumpeter.
My what?
Quilumpeter, your invention.
Oh, I make quilumpeter's. It's a quilt comforter, you know, with super thick comforter style batting in it. Lightly quilted. It makes a quilumpeter. It's sealed exactly like a comforter, no binding. It's my made-up word. I've made several quilumpeter's now. Quilumpeter. It's hard to say at first.
Do you ever roll the quilt so it moves along with you when you're...
What do you mean roll the quilt? Do I ever roll the quilt? No, I just push it and shove it and move it. I think rolling it would probably be too many extra steps.
You guys want me to show a corner that's already done? Is that what you're saying? Like this one that has the tag in? Or you want me to move the camera so you can see her do a corner? Is that what you're asking?
Well, this is the back corner. I just stitch right up to about 1/4 inch away from the edge of the quilt. And then back stitch, cut my thread, lift it up, come out this way, creating a 45-degree angle right here. So it's nice and straight along here and here. So it's one nice straight line. And then I fold it over onto itself. And it's pretty simple. I have binding videos if you need up close and personal. Today, it's just too much to move the camera and stuff because I'm trying to rush before my lunch and nap because I'm already getting hungry.
Oh, you got time. Take it easy. You don't have to rush.
All right, so I'm turning it. I got shots in my rear end yesterday, my butt cheeks, so I'm like, and then I had x-rays after and stuff. My back hasn't gone out of spasm, so I had to go to the doctor, and he said, yeah, it's definitely in spasm, but we're going to check your bones to make sure nothing else is going on, because it is very, very painful. Leaning up in the back of a chair, anything touching my spine, it's killing me. So, and then I have other issues going on as well, which are, well, that doctor he's never seen it before, so he doesn't know what it is. So they're making sure with my spine that it hasn't caused the newest problem. I mean, I guess I could tell you guys, the top of my right foot is caving in at my toes. So like, here's the top of the foot. Here would be your big toe and your 3 little next toes. Well, the 3 little next toes, the whole area above it sunk in completely. It's like deteriorating or whatever. So that's my latest issue. And the podiatrist has never seen it before. He doesn't know what it is. And so they're making sure from my spine problems and my leg problems that it's not something further causing it. Whatever it may be. It looks almost the same as my half a butt cheek, because I do have scleroderma localized in one of my sides of my cheek. And that has a big, huge indent, caved in. So my foot kind of looks like that. So if that is what it is, scleroderma localized would not be what I have anymore. It would be the scleroderma systemic, but we're not 100% sure because we don't know yet. But it's pretty much the same thing happening with my right foot. It's making it hard to put my foot on this pedal. It's making it hard to walk, very hard to walk and stand in still positions. My foot swells around it, which sucks it in more. It's been a very weird couple weeks. But I'm dealing. Making things work. Getting things done.
We love you anyway.
Yeah. If I keep sinking in different body parts, I'm going to definitely start looking like a skeleton like I did in 2020. In 2020, I looked all sucked up. For those of you that have been around my channel for a while, I really turned into a little skeleton girl. But it wasn't my fault. And look, I have a seam landing at the corner. It eventually always happens. But I still sew it. I still work with it. No big deal. The seam was pressed nicely, so it shouldn't have, what's the word for it? It shouldn't have a big, thick bump to go over. All right, let's pull this whole side now. This will be side 3. Drink some water. Continue on. I'm sweating here. Whew.
Big old...
I should just do this thing where I quilt all the quilts in the summertime and then bind them all in the wintertime, but then they have to sit forever unfinished. I can't stand sit. I was like really hoping this Wednesday would come faster because I was, this has just been sitting over on the chair. I don't like it when they sit too long without binding. And even though I can't use it yet, I still didn't want it unfinished. I love that I quilted this in these all over spirals. It looks so awesome. Almost done. And another seam landing in a corner. Again. They wouldn't have landed in the corner if I would have all, never cut off the amount of fabric that I needed for the tag. Because I would have had full selvage to selvage. But it's okay. Again, making it work. Okay. This is the last half a side. Because I started halfway up. I'm just going to find where I started, put most of this here so that I can stop right before it. Almost where I need to be. Back stitching, breaking thread, and now we're going to straighten this out right here. And we're going to join the two ends. So I'm going to get my smaller ruler and this. I'm going to cut away about right here. And then I'm going to lean nice and flat. Oh, I hate when that happens. It's crooked.
What happened?
All right. Lay this over about the rest of the way like this. Trim it. And that's what I have left. So it's going to go down there. Now, I always take about 1/8 of an inch off. And I do that because that way there's no puckering in the end. Once they're connected, the two pieces. I'm going to come back over here now. Change my stitch length down to a 2. I'm going to open this top one up, right sides, and I'm going to take this bottom one. I have to lay this on here, right sides together, again in an L, and I'm going to hold it down and sew corner to corner. I do this pretty quick on a regular basis, so I'm probably doing it really quick for you guys, but you can't see. I do have binding videos, though, on this. Just trying to...
I can move the camera.
No, it's fine. Keep it
I can
flat.
easily move it to behind you or something.
No, I just need to keep this flat. I don't want the camera behind me.
Okay,
Not today. Sewing from corner to corner. Before I do anything, I open it up and go, oh, oh, hey, look, it's correct. And then I trim away the excess seam allowance while I'm sitting here. 1/4 inch seam. It's never perfect. I do my best. Toss that over there, and then I'm going to finger press this seam to one side or the other. It really doesn't matter because it's kind of wanting to go towards the left, so that's the way I'm going to finger press it. I'm going to make it flat again. Put my seam guide back. And then go to about 1 inch before I ended and stitch the rest of the way down to about 1 inch beyond where I started. I don't even back stitch. Sometimes I do, but most of the time I don't. So in taking that extra 1/8 of an inch away, see how flat that is? There's no puckering, it didn't fold over. I always take a little, just that sliver away, and it really, really helps. All right, now it's time to turn the whole thing over and stitch it all to the front. Oh my goodness. All right, just gonna find a place to start, and I always fold it over to the other side, and then what I do is I stitch 1/8 of an inch away from the edge of the fold. So once it's folded over, and I'm going to change my stitch length to a 3 now, I start with a back stitch, and I just use my fingers lining it up along here as I fold it over, and then I use my fingers to hold it in place as I go. And I do this pretty quick, moving my fingers pretty quick as I go. And I tuck any threads in, that are sticking out, because they could just stay on the inside of the binding. It's no big deal. And I just stitch 1/8 of an inch from the edge, all the way around. Sometimes I have to snip threads, though, because they're just too long.
Are you using a walking foot?
Nope. I'm using my regular foot that's like 1/4 inch. Well, it's not 1/4 inch foot. It's just what I use all the time. It's my piecing foot. Oh, it didn't come off the edge. I thought it came off the edge. I'm using purple thread on purple binding, so it's kind of hard to see. Nope, I just use the regular foot on this. It's rare that I use the walking foot. That thing sounds like a machine gun. It's so loud.
Have you ever used a binding foot?
Nope. I've never used a binding foot. Didn't even know there was such a thing. Well, I know that there's a binding feeder thing. All right, I'm coming up to my first corner. And then I just fold it down. This one has a seam in it, so I'm just making sure that it's laying perfectly square, or, diagonal. I come into it, and then I back stitch out of it and back into it. And then I adjust, putting the rest of this side on my lap. If I can get it straight. And if I hit the microphone, I'm sorry. It's kind of an awkward position here. Tuck and sew, tuck and sew. Yep. Looks good to me. Again, there's sometimes threads that I just have to snip because they won't stay under. I just throw them on the quilt because they get wiped away anyway when I take my final pictures. Scott goes through the whole thing with a lint brush. Gets all the lint and stray threads off of all the quilts when I finish them. This is a pretty quick process for me. Usually I can bind a big quilt this size in an hour. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer, especially if it's like a show quilt and I'm trying to 100% be perfect about it. But I don't hand sew show quilts either. I do the same exact thing, except I meticulously make sure that I stay as straight as possible and I sew a little bit slower. Because I definitely don't want to be judged on my sloppy piecing of binding or stitching on of the binding. Because I know they look at all that on judged shows.
Will you just put this quilt in the washer and dryer when it gets clean?
No, actually I probably won't wash it until next year. I don't wash the quilts right away.
But when it gets clean, how will you
Yeah,
clean it?
when it gets washed, yes, it'll go through the washer and dryer. It'll get washed on cold with soap and water, cold water, and then it'll go into the dryer. Huh? Oh, and it'll get color catchers because there are some white and tone on tones in here. Anything that has this much color in it and there's whites blended in, you know, because there's lighter colors in a lot of these blocks, definitely needs color catchers. Some of the fabrics were pre-washed though, because some of them were scraps that people sent me, and a lot of the people that have sent me fabric over the years, they pre-wash their fabrics. I don't do that, but so my fabrics mixed with their fabrics, you know, some are pre-washed and some aren't. One stitch in, one stitch out, turn it, and continue on.
Oh, she says it wouldn't fit in her washer.
Oh yeah, this, we have a what is it, a wide bowl. We have a wide bowl washing machine, or wide load, or whatever they want to call it. I don't think it, I mean, it has an agitator in it, so we just kind of work it away around the agitator and then stick it in. But if you don't have a washer big enough, then you could always take your quilt to a laundromat, put it in one of those heavy duty washing machines, the big loaders. I mean, you only have to do it once a, I don't think you even have to wash your quilts once a year unless you have pets, honestly. They stay pretty good because they're on top. I'm not literally physically laying on top of this. I'm under it, and there's usually a sheet between the quilt and me, so it really doesn't get too much on it. It just, and when I'm done with it, it goes on a quilt ladder or folded up.
Maureen purchased the Pro Stitcher Light from Sewing Machines Plus and used their
Affiliate link?
affiliate.
Okay.
She said, "Make sure you get straight."
All right. I'll have to look later. You'll have to email me what day it was so that I can make sure, because I don't always know right away when someone purchases something using my affiliate links. And it doesn't email me, you know. So big purchases, I prefer if you guys just shoot me an email, you know, so that I can make sure what date. Yep, you
dry
can
sheet.
vacuum them. You can do all sorts of things. They even make no-wash sprays now where you just spray it like Febreze and stuff. You just spray it with some Febreze, throw it in the dryer, bam, clean. Yeah, this probably won't get washed until after its first use at the end of this year for the winter time. It's going to be weird because usually I have my birthday quilt on my bed, which is a lot of you subscribers out there had helped make that one by sending me blocks for my birthday. And every year I've been putting that on my bed in the winter time. But this one is now going to get alternated with that one. And the cool part is that one and this one are kind of similar because this one's just 25 patch blocks, but they're all different. But my birthday quilt was everybody's favorite blocks. And it's all different. It's all scrappy, the whole entire quilt. Just like, they're kind of similar. That one's background fabric is black. I did all the sashing and everything on that one in black as well. If you guys didn't know, most of my personal quilts are all black. Even though I have a white cat, I always put black as my backgrounds and or my sashing color. All right, I'm on. His white hair shows on black quilts, like the one that's on the chair.
Yeah, but you can't keep them pretty clean. In the winter, he gets brushed almost daily.
Yeah.
Every other day. In the summer, he gets a haircut.
All right, turn. Continue on down. Oh, I'm out of bobbin. And since I'm not in the mood to dig through and try to find this exact purple, I have to roll a bobbin. I thought one bobbin would do. I'm on the last side, ain't I? Oh, okay. So I have two more sides? All right, so I have to take a minute to rethread the machine. Yeah, this side, yes. Okay. Yep. You're almost done. All right. Just going to rethread real quick. On this machine, I just always rethread instead of tying it and pulling it through. I just rethread it each time. Either way, I'm wasting that original thread that was still threaded in here. So I don't bother trying to tie it. It's really hard with long nails to tie threads anyway. All right. I gotta start this way because it ran out of bobbin right at the turn. Just gonna hold that down. All right, now pivot. Trim away that starting thread. And the starting bobbin. There we go. Find this whole side. Oh, get up there, you heavy thing. This is a whole heck of a lot of quilt. And I won't be able to show you the whole thing on camera today, its whole complete finish, because it is too big. But I will post pictures on Instagram, which is linked in the description below if you want to go follow me there, and or in the Facebook group. Oh, you can? Okay.
You want to do that?
It might be too wide for the stand.
Well, we shall see.
Okay. We'll have to hook the other pole on it, the extra pole.
If it's too wide, we'll just hook it in the middle and they'll get the
Okay.
Sherry wants you to take an outdoor photo. You could do that. Hang it on clothesline.
I could.
You want to do that?
We could do that, yeah. The only reason why I don't take photos much outside with my quilts is because we live in the desert and our yard is rock and it's going to get my quilt dusty. That's the only reason why we don't take outdoor photos usually. That's why I bought a photography stand to take the photos inside the house instead of trying to lay them on a floor.
Should I just go hook the other bar on?
Yeah, you can do that real quick. All right, is this my last side? Yep, this is my last side. Only half a side left to go. And then I shall be done. Woot woot. It's 112 or so. 102.
Oh, yeah, the stand's 86.
Yeah. Scott's going to put the other bar on the photography stand so that we can hang it up out there and you guys can see it in full in the video, but I still will post finished pictures in the group. We don't keep it in its full extension, the photography stand. We keep it at the next biggest because the quilts, when my clients send me quilts and I take the after pictures for my clients and personal record of long arm quilting jobs, I don't really get very many big, huge quilts. So we just keep the stand at the smaller level. When I do my D-stashes, though, I always use the longest one. All right, coming up to the end. And I will be done. Oh, I'm so happy. 3 years in the making, guys. 3 years in the making. That is a long time for me to work on a quilt. All right. Putting my last few stitches in, lining it up with my original. I backstitched. I'm actually lifting and pulling the thread away instead of using the thread cutter, so that way I can snip it directly. And there I have it. It is 100% bound. So the next step I do is, I gotta move this out of the way temporarily, is what I do before I finish and walk out of this room with this quilt is I take one side and I count all 4 sides, but I run my long fingernails under this lip to make sure that I caught it all the way, because sometimes when I use the matching threads, I can't see it. So I just count that this is side 1, and I say that until I hit the corner, and then I go to the next number. So that was 1. This is side 2. That way, if it lifts it, I can go back to the machine. But it looks like it's stitched down. Side 2, 2, 2. We're at 3.
Okay, stand is ready. Fought me, but it's
3.
ready.
Still on side 3. Looks like it's fully stitched. And side 4. I'm like actually tugging on it with my fingernails to make sure that nothing comes undone. And it's 100% on there. No need to go back and stitch anything. Woot woot. All right, so we're going to take this out to the living room now. Make sure we know that this is the top right here, Scotty. This is the top. All right, guys, we're going to go to the living room with this big old beast. And then, yeah, I'm going to get the camera in a minute.
Okay. So this is the top?
Yeah, your hand is on the top. All right, guys, we're going for a trip, so the camera is going to move. We don't have comments with us. Just going to use the phone. Let's go for a trip. Camera's moving. Camera's moving. All right. We're going to stick you guys way over here because this quilt is enormous. Go. Can we walk the stand a little bit this way?
Happy.
There we go. All right. There is the finished quilt. Some better lighting. We're going to walk up to it in a second. There we go.
Can we turn this light on back here?
No.
Oh, okay.
There it is. We're going to go through and look up close. So you can see this side had a seam in that corner, and it landed right at the corner. So it has a little bit of a bump. Obviously, Scott will go through and pick all the loose threads off of it. These are in no particular order. Remember, I just laid them out, so I don't know what block goes to what video. You can see all the different colors on the cornerstones. Everything is as scrappy as it can possibly be. All right, I gotta tip the thing down. And then there's my kitty and my puppy. I'll tip the camera down more. Sorry, because I keep hitting the stand. If it's jerky, I don't mean to. And then there's the bottom. Obviously, it's not laying flat because there's a stool in the way. All right, so let's bring you guys back here again. I'll leave you right there for a second. And I am going, oh, there's the birds. You can see them. I'm just gonna, because I can't really, I don't want to turn the whole thing all the way around. So I'm just gonna lift up the side. Huh? Yes. I'm gonna lift up the side that has and then bring you guys back. So the whole thing is exactly the colors you're going to see on that back. Nah, we're just going to leave it. So you can see it's 100% spirals. There's my tag. Again, it reads the 25 patch sampler designed, pieced, and quilted by Tiffany Groff Quilting Designs, August 2019 to May 2022, because this took me 3 years to do. So there we have it. Just gonna leave this right here. Pull that back out. It's enormous. It sure is. Just let you guys look at it for a few seconds more. And then I am going to bring over the scary dragon. Here's the scary dragon. Say hi, Thumpy. Say, Mommy cut my hair yesterday for me, and now I am a scary dragon. Look at that. This beautiful dragon. He's a beautiful dragon. Huh? He's a beautiful dragon. Show everyone it's all the way down into the tail. Yes, you're the beautiful dragon. Want to go look at Mommy's quilt so everyone could see your dragonness? Oh, he's such a cutie. You guys like my little dragon? You can see his cut from here. Yes, I got creative with the cat. Not only am I creative with quilts, but isn't he a scary little dragon? So cute. Hi, buddy. Everybody loves your haircut. He likes to stare at my quilts and make sure that they're good. He's the cutest thing. He actually likes to get his hair cut. Yesterday, I noticed while we were listening to classic rock, and I turned it really loud, and he just laid on my lap and said, "Have fun, Mom." Okay. So he got his dragon cut. And it's the cutest thing. Yeah, he's a 17-pound cat. He's really big. Yeah, he's a biggie. He's a big kitty. All right. Well, that's it, guys. My dear boy. You want to be scratched? Yes. So that was it. This is my enormous 25 patch block quilt. I really hope you guys enjoyed the whole process. Remember, there is 48 more videos before today's video of every single block. Some of the older videos are not that great in video quality, but like I said, if you join the Facebook group, there is a PDF diagram for every single block. All 90 blocks have a PDF diagram. There's also some diagrams on if you want to just do one block, like there's this block right here that looks like a not tribal, like the word isn't coming to me, but whatever it is, Southwestern, that's what it is. You know, there's a couple blocks that are put out into a whole entire quilt so that you can see what one block looks like all by itself over and over and over again. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this series. Remember, I am taking a month off of any kind of series related stuff so that I can get prepped for the next one. So you won't see any Wednesday videos for a while. The only things you're going to be seeing is some long arm quilting, as well as just my regular Sew Sundays and little projects here and there. I need to get myself caught up, so I'm taking some time away from series related stuff. So thank you guys all for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new. Don't forget to like. What'd you say, Scotty? They're under the files section in the Facebook group. So in the description below this video. Join that Facebook group. I'll approve you sometime today. And just make sure you answer those questions. It's Tiffany's Quilting Life Community Quilting Group. That's what it's called. It's in the description below this video. So check that out. And I will also post finished pictures on Instagram and on the Facebook group so you guys can see still shots other than the moving camera. So thank you for watching. Don't forget to like this video on your way out, and I'll see you next time, guys. Bye.